it to be this quiet. It's an ASMR stream, so this will be my first one. I can't believe all you guys have put me up to this. It has me quite nervous. It's so good to see all of you here, my darling snacks. And, of course, knowing me, dark fairy tales. So, I'm pretty sure you can imagine where this is gonna go. So, I do have a script, and I have some sound cues ready. Cyan, it's good to see you. And some props. And it's gonna be hard to keep track of all this stuff. I'm not sure. I wonder what you did, Cyan. Boy, did you take something you weren't supposed to? I wonder what that was. So, I do have a story, a twist to it, and I just had to make the main character into an elder, so we get to see how the story changes. Sussy Cyan. I don't think all the tea could calm down my nerves. So, in the story, I'll try to do a little bit of voice acting, so I get to play between all the characters. It's gonna be hard to, I guess, keep this vocal range, but I'll do my best. I'll do my best for chat. Take care of all of you. With my sweet, sweet whispers. So, the tale that we'll be weaving tonight is an old tale with a twist of warm taste. Imagine a snowy street cloaked in darkness, warm hearths behind frosted windows, and a vampire who's forgotten to celebrate the season. But don't worry, my loves, I'll guide you through the shadows. The best is yet to come. Light a candle. Pour yourself something warm. Maybe some blood cocoa, perhaps. And let us begin. Let's begin a tale deep within the shadows of a dark ancient manor. Imagine, if you will, a house so large it seems to stretch for eternity. Its walls lined with dusty portraits. Their eyes painted as you wander through the dimly lit halls. It was a home to a vampire whose wealth rivals the king's, yet whose heart barren as the crypts beneath the mansion. Picture him sitting alone in a grand study, shrouded by tower of coins and ancient scrolls. The only light that comes from is flickering in the candle, cast long shadows along his pale, sunken face. But nothing but a mortal excuse of frivolity and waste follows all of what. Yes, this man, he hated Christmas. He saw it as a pointless distraction, a season of warmth and joy that he could not feel nor care for. After all, what use does a vampire have for carols, gifts, and feasts? Roasted turkey when his diet requires other fare. Let me tell you, this man has forgotten what it's truly meant to live. You see, centuries of immortality can do for some of us when every day the same endless night. It's easy to lose sight of what makes existence beautiful. On this particular Christmas Eve, his solitude was interrupted. It came, strange sound, soft at first, but then rustling, a cold winter wind. He ignored it. Ebenezer, thinking it nothing more than but the howling of the wind through the cracks of his manor stone walls. But then, a knock echoed through the halls. Not at his front door, no. The knock came from within the walls. He glanced around, his eyes scanning the room, but he found nothing. Then the voice came again. Ebenezer, you cannot hide from me. He froze, his hands gripping the arms of his chair like an iron claw. It's time and centuries he felt something he had forgotten. Fear. he saw next. The chill, even the most ancient vampire, emerging from the shadows, was a figure draped in spectral chains. Their form shimmering like smoke, like in the moonlight. Jacob, long deprived, long sire, the one who had turned him centuries ago. You are blind, Ebenezer, blind of joy. You are forsaken, blind to the bonds that you've broken. But tonight, you will see. Ebenezer tried to protest, but Marley raised his hands, his voice echoing like thunders through the empty room. As Marley spoke, "Don't speak, Ebenezer. Listen, you have one chance to escape my fate. Tonight, you'll be visited by 3 spirits. Heed their warnings, or spend eternity in change as I do." With that, Marley faded, and the chains rattled as he disappeared into the ether. Ebenezer was left alone once more, though now the silence was even heavier than ever. And so, my sweet creatures, the stage is set. Ebenezer was about to embark on a journey through time, guided by the spirits. But would they succeed in thawing his icy heart? Or would he be doomed to eternity, misery, and regret? Only time will tell. And we, of course, we'll be there to witness it. It's good to see all of you in chat. Don't go anywhere. The story is just beginning. There are many acts to follow. I won't make this a multi-part series. The stream won't end until the story ends. So, I hope you guys will stick around to join me. And I do see a new chatter. It's good to see you. I'm glad that you like the clips. This is a special treat that the community had requested. So, make sure that you have some snacks while we go through the story together. And yes, I suppose this could be a little ghostly tale, but all of you should know me. light slumber. The air grew colder, but not in the freshening chill that a vampire enjoyed, but a deep, bone-chilling frost. The fire in the grand hearth flickered, but it had extinguished itself with a soft hiss. He opened his eyes to find himself no longer in his lair. Instead, he stood in the snow-covered courtyard, the moon illuminating the figure that cloaked in grim light. Ebenezer, I am the ghost of Christmas past. I have come to remind you of the nights you have forgotten. Ebenezer, ever the skeptic sneered. What is this? A trick of the mind. I have no time for this nonsense. The spirit kids in it tilted their head, their translucent forms shimmering. Don't you remember this place? Ebenezer turned, his eyes ancient, scanning the courtyard. The soft glow of lanterns lit in the shadow in the surrounding buildings. Their windows frosted, breath of a long winter gone. And then he rose. It was a village of his mortal years, a time before he turned. Like an elder vampire that you all know. He hadn't seen this village in centuries. Look, Sir Ebenezer, do you see yourself? There, in the square. A young man stood, a mortal version of Ebenezer, his cheeks flushed from the cold, his arms full of carefully wrapped presents and parcels. Beside him, a woman with kind eyes, a laugh rang like the sweetest melody. Can you imagine, chat, our Ebenezer in love, so young and mortal? I'm glad you like it, Pax. Her. No. This is a cruel illusion. You must be a trickster. The spirit floated closer, her voice soft as falling snow. No, it is no illusion, but a memory buried long ago. Watch and remember. The scene unfolded. Mortal Ebenezer handed a woman a small, delicate box. She opened it, revealing a locket engraved with their initials. Oh, Ebenezer, it's beautiful. I wear it always. But the young man's smile faltered. I'll be leaving after the new year. A merchant ship. An opportunity too great to pass up. Her laughter faded. And what of us? What is this life that we've dreamed of together? The mortal Scrooge looked away, his ambition overshadowing his heart. I must build a future for us, even if it means leaving for a time. You see, Ebenezer, you chose wealth over love, and in doing so, you lost her. This was the first time. This was the first chain you have forged for yourself. A first step toward the cold eternity you now endure. Ebenezer's voice wavered, a rare crack in his icy demeanor. He was young, foolish. I thought I was doing what was best. The spirit simply pointed. Look again. The vision shifted. A woman stood at the same square many years later. A child beside her. And another man, her husband, by her arm. She laughed. Her happiness, a sharp contrast with the shadow that Ebenezer had left her. Ebenezer, I had forgotten her. Forgotten what it's like to truly live. The spirit floated closer, their gaze piercing. You've forgotten so much, Ebenezer. But there is still time to remember. Tonight, 2 more spirits will visit you. They will show you what you've lost and what you can still reclaim. Before Ebenezer could respond, the spirit dissolved into a flurry of snowflakes, leaving him alone in the cold, desolate courtyard. He reached out to hold on to the memory, but it faded like like a dream. And with that, Ebenezer awoke in his crypt. Echoes of the past lingering like a ghostly chill in the air. Now, chat, isn't it haunting to see what was or what could be, or perhaps what could have been? If you could revisit your past, what would you change? Or would you let it be? They're very heavy thoughts. Mhm. But this is only a beginning. This tell you, Ebenezer. His journey's just begun. Stay with me as we are visited by the next spirit. The clock struck midnight, and the room was bathed in a warm, golden glow. This wasn't an eerie light of candle flames, but far richer. Alive, as it carried the very essence of joy. From the glow emerged the ghost, a figure draped in surreptitious crimson velvet cloak. Their face was kind, yet the presence commanded respect. In their hand held a chalice, overflowing with what appeared to be wine. But Ebenezer could smell the truth. Who are you? Ebenezer asked, his tone bitter as ever. Another phantom here to haunt me. The spirit chuckled, their voice rich like honey. I'm not a haunting, my dear Ebenezer. This is a guiding. I am here as the ghost of Christmas present. Here to show you what you're missing in this eternal night of yours. A toast for the season? Cheers. The spirit extended her their hand. Before Ebenezer could refuse, the room melted away, but he found himself standing in a bustling city square. Under a soft glow, fairy lights, snow fell gently, muffling sounds of footsteps. While mortals and vampires alike moved among the market stalls, the air was heavy. Despite the cold, despite the laughter, chatter, and an occasional carol sung off-key, The air was warm. What is this? A marketplace for fools? He scoffs. Vampires with mortals? This is absurd. Absurd? Or beautiful? The spirit replied. Look closer, Ebenezer. Can you not see the joy on their faces? The way their differences melt away under the glow of the seasons. Ebenezer's sharp eyes followed as the young vampire at the stall, bartering for what wreath of evergreen. She handed it to a mortal child nearby, who smiled without a hint of fear. The vampire ruffled the child's hair before vanishing into the crowd. Because she gave without asking for anything in return. Why? Because, Ebenezer, the season is about giving. About sharing the light that burns within. Even we creatures of the night have a light to share, if we choose to. The ghosts wave their hand. Ebenezer found himself inside a warm, bustling tavern. The scent of mulled blood, roasted chestnuts filled the air. A group of vampires sat at a long table, raising their glasses in a toast. To the season, to life, death, and everything in between. They're celebrating as if they conquered the world. Perhaps they have, in their own way. Each of them has chosen to embrace what they are and find joy in it. Tell me, Ebenezer, when was the last time you laughed like that? Or shared a moment of pure happiness? Happiness is a fleeting illusion, white waste energy in something so trivial. Because it's not the moments that are fleeting, Ebenezer. It's us. Even immortality has its limits. The ghost guided Ebenezer to a small, humble home. Inside, A family, both mortal and vampire, sat at a crackling fire. A young girl with pale skin and bright eyes placed a star on top of a crooked tree. Her father, a vampire with silver streaks in his hair, lifted her up. They laughed. Deep rumbling sounds that filled the room. They have so little, and yet they seem content. It's not about the size of the feast or the number of gifts, Ebenezer. It's the company, the love, the choice to embrace the light, even in the darkest of nights. Ebenezer stood in silence. The warmth of the family's joy is washing over him like a tide. For the first time in centuries, he felt something stir in his chest. A flicker, a faint, undeniable. And just as he began to reach for that feeling, the visions dissolved, leaving him alone once more. What am I supposed to do with this? Remember it. Carry it. And when the time comes, let it guide you. For now, Ebenezer, our time is up. And with a swirl of crimson velvet, the spirit was gone. Now, chat, would you embrace the spirit of season, even as a creature of the night? How would you find joy in these eternal nights? Perhaps a feast, a gift, or simply sharing a moment with someone dear to you? The third and final spirit arrived, with no sound, no warning. But Ebenezer sensed its presence before he saw it. A deep, bone-chilling cold, as if the essence of death had seeped into the room. When he turned, It was there, a towering figure cloaked in shadows, its face hidden beneath the hood. It seemed to absorb the faintest glimmers of light. Are you a ghost of the Christmas yet to come? The spirit said nothing, only lifted a hand, a pale skeletal finger pointing to an abyss. The air grew heavier as Ebenezer followed the silent spectre through a dark void. Each step, a scene materialized around them. They were in a graveyard, desolate, overgrown, where shadows loomed, long and weathered tombs. At the center of the graveyard stood a single crypt. The door cracked open, only darkness within. Whose grave is this? He demanded, his voice trembling. Tell me, spirit, is it mine? The spirit said nothing, but the only answer was clear. On the crypt's entrance, etched cold, unyielding stone, with his name, Ebenezer Scrooge. Just like in the vampires in Venice. If one can live forever, it would be terrifying to live forever in a small box. A small box where no one can find you. No one can hear your cries. But you could hear the sounds of others around you as you're hidden in the box, in the walls of the crypt. No, this can't be. Ebenezer turned to the spirit, desperate. This future must be merely a future that might be. Speak to me, spirit. But the spirit remained silent, the skeletal hand now pointing in the interior of a crypt. Ebenezer peered into the darkness, his immortal heart pounding at his throat. Inside, not the resting place, but a vision of himself. A lonely figure, sitting in eternal silence, abandoned by all. A once proud vampire elder, now a forgotten relic, abandoned in the crypt, left for centuries to crumble into dust. Please, I cannot bear this fate. I will change. I swear it. I will honor Christmas. in my heart and share the joys of the season with all who will have me. He fell to his knees, his voice broken. Tell me, it's not too late, please. The spirit paused, its hand lowering for a moment. Ebenezer thought he saw something beneath the hood, a glimmer of hope. Or perhaps a final warning. Then, as suddenly as it had come, the spirit vanished. Ebenezer stood alone in an empty room. But he was not the same vampire who had begun this journey. No. Ebenezer was a changed creature, one who now understood the true meaning of the season. Wouldn't you agree? Even the coldest hearts can find warmth again if they truly desire it. And so, the dawn came, but not the kind that would scorch a vampire's skin or send us to our crypts. No. This dawn signaled a new beginning. Ebenezer, a vampire elder who once dismissed Christmas as trivial nonsense, awoke in his grand shadowed manner. But this time, something was different. The chill that had long seeped into his very soul was gone. In its place, a spark, a memory he hadn't felt since his mortal days. Ebenezer sprang from his coffin. Yes, even an elder can spring when the mood strikes. He flung open the heavy, creaking shutters of his chamber, letting the pale moonlight cascade into the room. Tonight, I will feast, but not alone, he declared, his voice echoing through the vast halls. Tonight, I will give and not take. You see, my creatures, Ebenezer's manor wasn't a very old estate. It was filled with relics, artifacts. Artifacts of power, treasures hoarded over centuries, but none of it had ever been shared until now. With a flourish, Ebenezer was writing invitations. He clawed his fingers away through a cross parchment, summoning vampires and mortals alike to a grand feast. The candles in his hallways flickered to life, as if answering a newfound spirit. The air itself seemed to hum with excitement. When the night fell, the doors of Ebenezer Manor swung open, revealing a sight none had ever thought possible. A grumpy old vampire standing at the doorway smiling, a sight as rare as the solar eclipse. Guests poured in, vampires draped in velvet and silk, mortals with their cheeks flushed from the cold. Long tables stretched across a grand hall, laden with delicacies, crystal goblets filled with crimson wine. But let's say it wasn't from a vineyard. Welcome all. We celebrate not just the season, but the connections we make, our endless nights worth living. Drink, feast, and let the joy of Christmas fill your hearts, no matter if they beat or not. And on, the joyous, infectious, even the youngest fledglings laughed and danced, their fangs gleaming in the soft glow of the chandelier. Mortals shared stories with vampires, the barriers between them melting like snow under the moonlight. Amidst in reverie, Ebenezer stood at the edge of the hall, watching it all with his eyes glistened. Not with hunger, but with gratitude. For the first time in centuries, he felt whole. A young fledgling approached him. Their voice, "Master Scrooge, thank you. Thank you for inviting us. I've never felt like I belonged before." Ebenezer knelt, his ancient hands resting on the gentle shoulders. "You are part of this family now," he said with his voice steady, as if the night itself. Christmas is not about blood, it's about the bonds. And so, The legend of Ebenezer Scrooge, the once bitten vampire elder, became a tale told for generations. His manor became a beacon of light in the darkness, a place where all were welcomed, where joy, laughter, and echoes through the hall of every Christmas Eve. Even Marley, his once sire, has once said that he smiles from the afterlife, his chains growing lighter with every act of kindness Ebenezer has performed. So you see, even the coldest hearts, whether mortal or immortal, can be warmed by the spirits of season. The question is, what will you do to make this Christmas unforgettable? And perhaps there could be another story for another time. May your hearts be full and your fangs sharp. A Merry Christmas. So how was that? Managed to fill an hour. I'll say the hardest part about this was finding the sound effects, sounds to complement the stream. And I'll give Chibi Manny a little shout out. Aww. Thank you, Sarah. I didn't imagine to have this take more than an hour since I'd be reading so slow, but oh my. You guys would want the script? Oh my. Well, I do have a little bit left. A little something that I was drafting. But it doesn't really have an ending yet. Let me see if I could set the mood for this one. There was once a young vampire named Celeste. She was newly turned just a century old, clinging to a memory of her mortal life. Christmas was her favorite time of the year. She loved the warmth, family gatherings, the glowing candlelight, and the scent of pine in the air. But as the years passed, those memories faded like frost. On a winter morning, she found herself alone in a crumbling manor. The joyous season reduced to shadows that once was. One bitterly Christmas Eve, Celeste wandered through the snow-covered woods. Hoping to escape the ache of her solitude, the trees whispered secrets to her, their branches heavy from frost. Why do you linger here, child? A voice called out. It was a fox spirit, its fur shimmering like starlight, its eyes piercing like an ancient. You've forgotten the magic of season, the spirit had said. But it isn't lost. It's waiting. It's waiting for you to find it again. The fox guided Celeste to a clearing where an old, lone evergreen stood, its branches untouched by frost. Underneath it was a single box that awaited her. With trembling hands, she opened it and found a delicate ornament, a miniature lantern that glowed with warmth. Memories flooded back. Laughter, warmth, and feeling of belonging. The lantern wasn't just a gift. It was a spark of hope. It reminded the spirit the season could reignite the darkest of nights. I believe many of us are like Celeste. Perhaps we felt the weight of all these years, sting like memories slipping away. But no matter how far you feel from the light, it's never truly out of reach. And if you were a wanderer in that forest, what would you find waiting for you under the evergreen? A gift, a memory, a chance to start anew. Imagine it and think, what would it be? And I believe that's where we'll be ending it for today. Our little short community stream. Or perhaps a little hangout, finally interact with you guys. I enjoy the fireplace. Staying warm by a warm, cozy hearth. All of us snuggled together under a warm, cozy blanket with some blood cocoa. Sorry for those that don't drink blood. Gonna cry now. It's not all that bad. Cozy in front of the tavern. Oh. My, there was so much chatter today. I'm gonna have to see the VOD later and see all these little comments that you've all made. And I do appreciate the highlights and the biddies. I'll polish up the script and have it in a sub-only portion of the tavern. Oh my, a little celebration. In a few hours, it will be Noche Buena, the good night. Since I started streaming, I never imagined being so busy. But it's a good thing. I'm glad to be spending the holidays with all of you. To me, that's what makes it special. And I'm glad we get to enjoy the special moments. I think we all needed this a little. What in the world? Oh my. Vani. That's incredible. In a hype train. Unbelievable. A big celebration for Miss Verbillion and all the wonders that she's done for us. Throwing snowballs. Oh no. I have a Lenovo Legion. She is a sweetheart. It has an AMD processor with a RTX 3070, if I remember. Bunny. Don't be scared. The same RAM stick? Oh, you're probably talking about my wish list. Oh my. She's a very charming, scary vampire demon. I wonder, how many gifted subs was that? That was 5. Bonnie does so much to spoil me. I'm so grateful. I do. On my throne, the wish list, there's a RAM kit for 32 gigs. Can you imagine if Ani and I were to do a co-op ASMR stream? That'd be so dangerous. It would be a war crime. A war crime against many. No, I want to turn. For Throne, I had to put the non-sale price, and I had to factor in taxes and shipping cost. But if it gets purchased during a sale, like the excess goes into a, I guess into a balance, and then I could roll it over to other things. So we get to see. The hype train is complete. What emote did I get? Oh, I got a reindeer. What a cutie. Oh yeah, I forgot. There's holiday emotes from the hype train.